Hello and welcome to North Star Stamper. I'm Sue Kramer. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Minnesota. Such snowy, snowy Minnesota. Oh my goodness. I think we have the 8th snowiest winter ever. And they've been keeping records since the 1800s. So let's see if I can find myself. I'm crooked. Anyway, hello. Thank you for joining me. Happy stamping. If you aren't working with another demonstrator, I would love to help you with all your stamping needs. I do try to listen to the concerns and needs of my customers and share what they want to know. So that's kind of my business model. I just want to share. And if you're having trouble or issues with something, I'm here to try to help. So if you're interested in purchasing, you can look at northstarstamper.stampinup.net. That is my that's my Stampin' Up! Website. So that's the one that Stampin' Up! Provides for me. I have my own personal website that I maintain myself at northstarstamper.com. You can sign up for my newsletter here. I send them out weekly. It's an email, and in every newsletter there is inspiration at the very end of my newsletter that I don't post those, it's almost always cards, those projects anywhere else. I don't put them on Facebook, I don't put them on Instagram, they won't be on Pinterest. So if you want to see more inspiration by me, sign up for my newsletter, and you can always email me if you have questions. And some of you do, and I really appreciate that. So let me know if you have questions, concerns, praise too. I do have one customer that sends me emails every so often. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. So I want to know what you want to learn about. So I haven't had any requests in a while, so we are doing kind of a stamp your own pattern paper. I titled this video The Joy of Stamping. So I'm curious, what caught your attention when you first started stamping? Like, did you see a demonstration? Were you invited to a class or a workshop? For me, I saw a demonstrator demonstrate heat embossing at a craft fair at the local high school. And that day I signed up to host a workshop. And so that's when it started in January 1997, if you can believe that. I'm going to show you what I'm working with today. And then in the last, about a couple years, somebody introduced, she calls it One Sheet Wonder because she takes a pattern paper, and I've done this with you before. She takes a piece of cardstock and just stamps on it. And that's, to me, the joy of stamping, is putting ink to paper and creating something. I love embellishments, I love ribbon, I love die cuts, I love punches, but that stamp, putting that ink on paper is magical to me. So that's what I'm working on. When I started stamping again that way, it just brought so much joy back to stamping for me. So I'm curious what to know, what is joy, well, how you started and what caught your eye, and what brings you joy when it comes to stamping. Maybe it's die cuts and putting them all together and making a fabulous card. Maybe it's pattern paper. I know one of you is probably going to say, Pat, she loves pattern paper. You know who you are. So let me know. I'm very, very curious, because I'll show you more of what brings joy to you. This is what brings joy to me, so this is what we're doing today. So I have a piece of soft seafoam cardstock here, and that's what we're going to stamp on to create our paper. I have 4 card bases because we're going to stamp on the edges, and then I'm going to cut it in quarters. I've already trimmed it down a ½ an inch on either side, and I'll share with you what that is in a minute. I have 4 card bases. I have Orchid Oasis and Starry Sky. I have 4 envelopes because we're going to stamp our envelopes, and I have 4 layers to go on the inside of our cards because these two, especially the Starry Sky, is very dark. So we're going to stamp in here, and everything's going to coordinate. I have also die cut some squares and circles with the stylish shapes. Again, those same cardstocks, Starry Sky, Orchid Oasis, and Soft Seafoam. I lost the words there for a minute. So I took my scrap and trying to decide what colors, and this was just for me. I don't expect you to read this. So I just grabbed a whole bunch of colors just to see how they would look on Soft Seafoam. And you can see I've crossed out some of them. They were too bright or too dark, and the ones I have left here are the ones we're going to use. So hello everybody, thank you for saying hello. And okay, we're good. So the colors I ended up liking were Soft Seafoam on Soft Seafoam. You can actually see it here. I'm using Mint Macaron. Next we have Starry Sky. Maybe I'll use my tool here. And Orchid Oasis. For my pink, I've decided on Fleur de Flamingo. I liked the look of the Mango Melody. I haven't used that ink very often. And then just to add some brightness to it, I have Granny Apple Green. So those are the colors I'm going to be working with. Let's get, actually not all of this. I want to remember to stamp everything. And I have already put some of my stamps on blocks. I do have the trim, the Baker's Twine in those two colors, so we'll gussy up our cards a little bit. I do want the focus to be my stamping though, so. All right. So some of the stamps I have put on blocks. I have some from the Forever Fern. Did I use that one? I did not. I could though. I love this eucalyptus. Is my mom watching? Hi, Mom and Dad. Mom, I remember you making floral arrangements and putting eucalyptus in them. That's just one of my childhood memories. So I love this stamp for that reason. So I'm definitely going to use that. I've used it a lot lately. And I love this one here too. It is such a nice filler to add color on there. For my taller piece, I've chosen this one. I think it'll look pretty in the Starry Sky. One of my favorite stamps right now, because it's so lacy, is this one from the Botanical Layers. I think that's the only one I took from there. But there's some other options. This would be nice if we want to fill it in more. If it's too sparse, I would probably add that stamp set. Just for something tall, I've chosen this leaf from, Decorative Borders. That's in the mini catalog. I have these on hand, just if we want some more leaves. There's so many. And then if I decide to add some kind of creature, I would probably choose one of the smaller butterflies. And I think we've talked about this before. When this stamp set was on sale, it's actually a single stamp. So when this stamp was on sale a couple years ago, I bought a second one and cut it apart so I can stamp just one butterfly instead of all 6 of them. Because it does come as one and they're all connected. Okay, that's what we're doing. Questions? Anne says she signed up because she loved the dies. Oh, and Anne loves the pattern paper. That's what I remember too. Kathy says my joy is creating beautiful cards with many layers. No surprise. That's what I figured. All right. Thank you, ladies, for sharing that. Okay, let's get started. So I have I'm just going to open all these inks. Well, I'll leave them open as we go. I have to push my sleeves up so they don't get dirty. I'm hoping you can see. Okay, good. You can see my stamps there. Move those out of the way. I like to keep my space really open here. And I'm stamping on the short side of it because I know that I want to cut this into quarters to use for my 4 cards. If you remember way back when, if you've been around watching my videos for a while, I have these templates, and this is just a piece of vellum, and I used, I don't know if we even carry these anymore, the Project Life pen, but or a Sharpie would work too, because you know it's going to dry. And I'm going to, every so often, I will lay this over my work just to see what one of the square rectangles is going to look like for my card front, because it's really hard to tell when I turn it around and we stamp here too. It's really hard to imagine or envision what it's going to look like. So I purposely put that flower in the middle so we have some on each side of that. I'm just going to keep stamping. Let's do some Granny Apple Green. And here's one of the Botanical. And I'm just going to fill in from the bottom. And if I have a misstamp, if I get an edge or something, it's not a big deal because I'm going to add more layers. So when I do this, and this is just my way, your way may be different, and that's completely fine. You're a different stamper. But when I do this, I like to overlap my images I also like to use second generation, so I stamped a second time without re-inking, and it looks a little lighter, and it looks like it's a different color ink. All right, let's keep going. Let's do some mint macaron with this tall, skinny leaf from the Decorative Borders, and I can make it grow a little bit. Maybe we'll do that. I don't know. It's kind of fun. I see that this is a photopolymer, and I'm not getting a good image, so I am going to put my foam mat under my cardstock and see if I can't get a better image. So you can see I didn't get a good stamped image there, and that's okay. I'm going to add more. So this is one of the times, if you're a new stamper and have trouble getting good stamped images, stamping this way is very forgiving. So I'm adding a lot of these. I'm liking the stamp today, so because it's giving me lots of height. And I got, let's see, we'll just go like that. Let's see how we're doing. So I'm going to put my chart over the top, and see I've got lots of going on here, and I don't have much white space, which is okay. I'm going to leave a little white space here and fill in the bottom. So that's where my grid really comes in handy. Okay, let's do some Orchid Oasis eucalyptus. This is such a neat stamp. Very fun. And these colors work really well together too. And I'm being quick about it. I'm just inking stamp, and you can see I missed stamp, so I'm going to cover it with another stamp. All right, we're looking good. Let's fill in a little with some, I'm going to put some Mango Melody with this. I don't even know what it looks like, seaweed or coral to me. I have no idea what it is. Kind of wish I did know. When the butterfly stamp came out, we were told that those were the butterflies from the markets that Stampin' Up! Sells in. And so I actually went and, or somebody showed us, told us what all the butterflies were. So I have that someplace. Oh, sorry, I should turn it towards you every so often. So I added lots of height with that one photopolymer stamp, and I just filled in the bottom, because what I plan on doing is taking my square. I want you to envision what this is going to look like. So I'm going to cut it where these lines are, and then I'm going to add a square with a layer, probably a little lower, just, I don't know, we'll see. I also have some circles, maybe just a circle. I don't know if I have 4 of these, but just to give you an idea. And I have some, like I said, twine that will coordinate too. Maybe this will go down here, and I don't know. We'll see where we end up. But that's just to give you an idea of what the cards are going to look like. All right. I think I want a little tiny little flower in my pink, which is Flirty Flamingo. What flowers do we have? Oh, this little one would be perfect. This is in the Decorative Borders. This tiny little stamp. This is where it really comes in handy to have a lot of blocks. Again, the cardstock is soft seafoam. If you've been watching me for any length of time, you'll know that I like to stamp to create cards and specifically not use white or vanilla sometimes. So I'm just adding a little bit of pink in some open spaces here. Actually, it's Flirty Flamingo. So that's one side. Let's turn it around, and we're going to do the other. I kind of like the way I had that set up. Let's see if I can remember which stamps were in which color. This one is Starry Sky. I probably won't get as clear images because I have that, you can see that matte underneath. But that's okay. Then we have this. I love the lacy look of this one. I wish I knew what kind of plant it was. If it grows in Minnesota, it'd be kind of fun. You can see I didn't come to the bottom. That's okay. Very forgiving. We're going to cover it up with other stuff. Let's put a lot of this in. We can come from the edges too. And a stamp there. That's right. Cover it up again. Cover it up. All right. And then we have some greens. Let's add some tall leaves. I'm thinking maybe I don't want to cover up my stamping. This is very pretty with all these colors. All right, so somewhere, probably 10 or 15 years ago, I read something that talked about, I call this collage stamping personally. So I read in either a book or a magazine or an article. I think it was before the internet. So I went to the library and tried to find this book, and I have spent hours looking for it. So I remember reading that when you do a collage like this, you should use an odd number of inks. I think I have 7 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I haven't opened soft seafoam yet. So 7 odd number of colors. What was the other thing? Overlapping. So easy to do that, right? And then the last thing is, if you're not using plants, make sure you have something living in your collage. Whether it's a plant, like we're doing here, a butterfly, a person's face, it could be anything. And it really, literally brings it to life. Now, look at the two sides here. That side versus that side. I haven't added the pink yet, and I think I will. But they look, to me, different. I'm not sure why. I think I learned on this side, and this is my second side. Let's add my layer real quick to see what our card fronts, I don't know if you can see what our card fronts are going to look like. So looking at this, I think I want something big here. So I'm going to restamp this one here. And that's why I like using my grid, so I can see what it's going to look like. The other option is to cut it apart and then look at each rectangle and say what's missing in it. There's no reason you can't add something after you've cut it up too. So that's just, those are my thoughts on collage stamping. So that is going to go there. I kind of like the greens there. All right, so this is going to be the layer on our cards. I also have 4 layers for inside my cards. Let's add a little bit to the bottom. I'm not going to do near as much. Oh, let's do 2 at a time. Otherwise, we'll be here all night. And that's why I pre-die cut those pieces. That, we'll add some of this. I want to make sure there's room to write though. So these are going to be the layers inside our cards. Maybe just a little bit of the mango, just to tie them all together. All right. Have you ever done this before? I'm curious. I am curious. Oh, we haven't used this one yet. Let's do this one. Oh, I'm going to do this one in soft seafoam on the inside. I think this is a decorative, distinctive stamp. I get much better images if I ink it, ink it, and then use my blending brush to kind of swirl the ink around. And here, I'll show you. Oh, I don't know if you can see, that's really pale. Yes, you can, right here. I just get a much better image when I use my blending brush on our distinctive stamps. And that is a kind of stamp that I believe Stampin' Up! Has a patent out for. I'm not sure how they create them and what's so unique about it, but it's something you won't find anywhere but Stampin' Up! And that's our distinctive is what. Let's add some blue. Was this one? No, this was green. What did I have in Orchid Oasis? This one. And I suppose the insides don't have to be identical to the outside. All right, so there's our 4 inside layers. Envelopes. Let's just put a couple things in here. This, like I said, this is my favorite stamp, so I'm using it. The other fun thing about this is I got to pull out a whole bunch of stamps. Some I've used a lot, some I haven't used much at all, and you can just mix and match. You saw that some were photopolymer. I'm getting ink everywhere. Some were red rubber. Some were old, some were new. I mean, I could go back. I have lots of old stamps. Let's add this one. Again, this is from the Forever Fern. And do this one in Granny Apple Green. I think I will add this to my card, my layer. Sorry, I'm inking up. I'm so excited to be stamping that I forget that you're watching. Granny Apple Green and swirl it, and that's what it looks like. You see all that dimension in it. It kind of looks like put some more ink on like a photo. Put ink on my blending brush. Last one. I'm going to go back and add some of these to my stamping. So I have my card, my layer for the front of my card, my envelopes, my layers for the inside of my card. Finally, I'm going to stamp on some of these. I have big layers, little layers, circles. Let's do another circle. Some Granny Apple Green. I do use my brushes for one color, not a specific color. Like this one I'll use for all my greens. And if I switch colors, I will, just brush it on here to get most of the color out if I switch to a lighter color green. So sometimes if I use my blending brush, I don't really know what color I'm using. I just know it's green. So these are going to go on the front of my card. Stamp a sentiment on it. I kind of like this one on end. Let's do another smaller square. About, let's see, on end. There we go. At about 6:45 Central Time, I was thinking about doing something different, and so I was rushing around, playing with cardstock and scoring and cutting and measuring, and it just wasn't coming together. So this was my fallback today. All right, so we need to stamp on something on those. This is one of my favorite stamps right now. Wishing you the best birthday ever. It's from the Season of Chic stamp set. Let's see what it looks like in Orchid Oasis. Right on top of that green. Oh, that's pretty. We'll do a couple of those. Good. And do I have another one? Let me look real quick. Wishing you all the happiness you can imagine. I don't know if that's going to fit. Oh, it will fit in my circles. Good. Let's get another. I used almost all my blocks today. Isn't that funny? Pick that up. Let's use Starry Sky this time. That's what that looks like. One more, and then we can put our cards together. Oh dear, that one fell on the floor. All right. Did it go far? It didn't go far. Hold on. All right, I think I have all my layers. I think. Let's take one last look before I put all the inks away at this. Since I added this stamp, maybe I want to incorporate that a little. I think I do. I'm looking to see. I didn't add pink here, which is fine. They don't have to be all the same. They're going to be 4 separate cards. And unless you're giving them as a card set to someone, say a hostess gift or a birthday gift to somebody, people who receive this card will never see this card. So they don't have to be the same. I kind of like it better without the pink. I'm going to fill in a little here and maybe here. So on these two sides, I can't remember what color I used on this one. It was a green. We'll do granny. I think it was granny. And swirl that a little and fill that in. This just seems really flat and then tall to me. I want to fill this space in right here. I hope you've enjoyed this tonight, or today if you're watching on YouTube. I'm going to add some more. This is just kind of amazing to me that with stamps, ink, and paper, I could create something like this. All right. I don't think I will take the time to clean all these. That's a lot of stamps. Okay. I do need to put these away before I get ink on everything. If you remember, I cut my the paper I stamped on ahead of time. So this is 8 by 10.5. So if I cut it in to quarters, then I'll have a card, a layer that fits right on my card. I won't have to trim again, is my point. All right. So this is 8. I'm going to cut it at 4. And like I said, even though I've already... Oh, I almost cut it at 5.5. It's 5 1/4. I can still stamp on those. My stamps are out and they're still dirty, so same with the any of the other pieces that I've stamped. So this is what they look like. Interesting, there's some leaves coming down from the top there. There's a second one. I don't know if I like the pink on there. I'll show you that one next. I like how this is so full down here. And I think I did pretty good with my colors, too. Look at that one. Oh, I like the yellow and the green together. All right, let's put our cards together. This will be pretty quick. This is Orchid Oasis. So I'm curious. I think I asked, have you ever tried this? If so, have you found some favorite color combinations that you can use this with? These are two of our in colors, the Starry Sky and Orchid Oasis, and I haven't used them all that much, so that's honestly the reason I chose them today. And I don't know why I ended up with the Saucy Foam. I think I just didn't want white or vanilla for my card base. And I knew I wanted greenery, so I chose a green cardstock. It is not much more rhyme or reason than that. It's like I didn't have much of a plan. And I'm just gonna layer all these together. This is gonna go on the inside. That Starry Sky would be really hard to write on unless you had a silver pen. So there's one of my cards. Thank you for joining me. I do take suggestions. If there's something you want to see next week, let me know. Sometimes I do plan days ahead and other times not. So it all depends on the week I've had. Here's card number 2. This is the Orchid Oasis. Oh, they just happen to be getting the ones with the pink. I think to tie it all together, I might go back. I think I'm going to add some of those pink flowers to whatever my sentiment on here. Oh, this needs a layer on the inside. So it's kind of fun to have all of these pieces ready to go before you start stamping. So I had my top layer, well, that was a big piece, but I had my layers for the inside. I had my envelopes handy. I had already die cut pieces that will hold my sentiments. Don't really need sentiments either. Couple piece little gems or something, and that'd be a lovely card. But we are going to do more to it. All right, so my last layer on the inside. Isn't that pretty? It would have been fine in white. I don't know, I just decided to use green for some reason. All right, so on these two, I do want to stamp. Let's do one circle and one. We're going to make them diamonds. There's that. This is the last pad. This is Flirty Flamingo again. And I'm just going to add, maybe I'll like it more with more flowers. I'm going to go off the edge and then put one there too. Let's put 3. Okay. I think I'm just going to pop that up with dimensionals. And add some out here. I'm not going to put a layer underneath it. My plan was to put a layer under it. And sorry, I'm not looking at comments. I keep asking questions. Wishing you the best birthday ever. Thank you, Kathy. She says, my cards are beautiful. She says she's tried it but needs to practice. And that's why I talk through what I'm doing as I'm stamping. So I really like to fill in my stamping, so it's like I overlap a lot. Like if you look right here, there's probably 3 or 4 stamps stamped in that spot. So thank you everybody. I like them too. All right, this one is going to go here. I think this one does need, it needs something else. So this one I'm going to put a square behind my circle, which I'm going to make it a diamond. And I'm not sure where to put it. Maybe there. Yeah, that's good. And since that circle was on dimensionals, I'm just going to use some glue on the square. Oh, I've forgotten to include, make sure that's straight. Good. There's card number 2. I do have some twine. I was trying to hurry up. How are we doing? Oh, it's after 8. Thank you for staying with me. Let's see what colors. That's orchid. Oh, I am matching. It was not purposeful, but the square I picked up does match the cardstock. I don't have to. I think we're going to do this easy, and I'm going to put some tear and tape on the back of my square. Let's clean up a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. So I put some tear and tape on the back of my square. You could just cut a square if you don't have dies. This one does happen to have the dotted edge. And I'm just kind of wrapping it around just to give some interest behind my circle. And I don't even know what color I grabbed. This was the Starry Sky, so it's going to coordinate with my card base. And that is the great thing about Stampin' Up! Is that all these colors coordinate. So my cardstock for my card base, my twine, my ink, everything coordinates. And I do want to put this on, and I'm going to put another piece of tear and tape back here, a couple of them, to hold the twine down. I really do think that's the best thing that Stampin' Up! Does, is our color coordination. We do have what they used to call it, the sandbox. You know, like you're playing in the sandbox with friends. They have changed that to the suggestion box. So if you have suggestions for Stampin' Up, about products you want to see, let me know, and I can put them in the suggestion box. I don't do it enough. I have made a few suggestions over the years. I don't know if I've ever seen anything I've suggested come to fruition, but I think they need to know what we want to see. It's the only way we can make the company better is if we offer our suggestions, right? All right, and then this is going to go right there. I did cover up all my stamping with that, didn't I? Let's add some back in. Nobody says you have to do it all at once, and so I'm going to use this little stamp and just add a few things there. I want a little more greenery. So, like I said, in hindsight, I wish I had used a smaller piece here. I'm just going to add some green up there. There. Maybe down here too. Just to fill it in a little bit. All right, last one. Oh, I think I will add some bling too. Where's my piece? Down here, up there, a little bend in it. I think right there. I stamped on the back side. You know what? I'm going to change I stamped on the wrong side, so I'm changing my mind. I'm going to leave that one as is. I can either add a sentiment later. I had hoped to make one of these a sympathy card. Not that I need one right now, but you never know when you will. But I don't have a really good sympathy stamp right now, but maybe a long skinny one here. That way I wouldn't cover up my stamping. Let's add a little bling and call it a night. Oh, these are fun. The metallic pearls. They're very little, but I think they're going to add just enough. We want silver or gold. Let's do a couple of each. We'll do silver on this card. Just randomly, odd numbers in a rectangle or triangle. There's 3, 4, 5. So there's the silver. I covered up where I was going to put my sentiment, didn't I? And some gold ones. Let's put one there. 2, 3, 4, 5. What do you think? That was really fun. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it and learned a few things, and I hope you try it. It's really fun. It's the joy of stamping to me. So I hope you find joy in stamping too. Let me grab my information back. If you're in need of a demonstrator, let me know. I'd love to help you with all your stamping needs. So let me make sure there are no specific questions. Oh, Xana, hello. Thank you for joining me. She joins us from the UK, and it is 1:05 in the morning. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate that. All right. Thank you, everybody. Kathy says she uses the Season of Chic stamp set a lot. I do too. I love that it's multi-seasonal. I haven't used the snowflakes. I should probably use those. We've had enough snow here to keep going for a while. Oh, hello, Judy. Thank you for joining in just now. I stamped my background, so it's kind of like stamping your own pattern paper. But I will stop talking, and you can go watch the beginning of the replay. Let me know what you want to see next week. Thanks for joining me. Have a great week, everybody. Bye.